The history of the media is one of the constant innovation, and Joseph Schumpeter is known as the prophet of innovation. So it can be interesting to use Schumpeter ideas to explain the evolution of the media, mainly print. Schumpeter's theory is frequently used by economists in different fields, but has never been applied to the media. So let's experiment how much his work may be valuable as an economic framework. According to Schumpeter, economic development starts with what he calls circular flow. The economic activity operates in a routine. Market shares are distributed. There is a hierarchy, indeed, but not a real competition. All the producers know the demand for the product, adjust the supply of output. It's a kind of equilibrium with no change except in the case of business mistake. So the profits are not outstanding. Schumpeter names this state growth, but not development. The first journals were part of the circular flow, aimed at few literary people, always the same. There was no competition for the New England current of James Franklin. It was the only newspaper covering Boston, and there was no competition either in France for La Gazette. La Gazette was a monopoly controlled by the king. But after a time of growth comes a time for development instilled by an innovation, meaning a new combination of production. In the media, the big innovation breaking the circular flow was invented during the Industrial Revolution. The printing machine using steam and then electricity. It was a way to produce tons of newspaper. It was the beginning of mass media. Pulitzer, among many other managers, developed dailies. The face price was 1 penny, so the name was the penny press. Because of economy of scale, the most expensive to produce was the first copy, and when the price per unit decreases, the more you produce, the cheapest is the last copies. The business model is called two-side market because you sell a product to customer at the lowest price possible, so you can get many customers, and then you sell this readership to advertiser, and then the more customer you have, the highest rate for publishing an ad you can expect. At that stage, two worlds are in competition. New world is winning thanks to the innovation. The old world, the first journal, is dying. Schumpeter calls this process creative destruction. Now a question. Why such a change breaking the circular flow? According to Schumpeter, it is because a special breed of men called entrepreneurs know how to pursue people they want their products. They build the demand. Those men know how to change the wants and needs of the customers. One example of entrepreneur is Benjamin Franklin and its Pennsylvania Gazette. It was not a new product, but it was a better product with news never published before and a business model an innovative business model. According to Schumpeter, an entrepreneur relies on intuition. He sees things in a way that afterwards prove to be true. But one reason for failure is a lack of financing. So most of the time, entrepreneur comes along with a banker, such as Bezos or first funding Gutenberg invention. On that point, I want to make sure that you understand one thing. The Schumpeter theory is an archetype, the archetype of constant evolution. It starts with the circular flow, then an innovation breaks the circular flow. There is competition between two worlds. The outcome is not clear at the beginning, with no profit and failures. And then the new world wins, the old one dies. We reach the creative destruction, and then a new circular flow prevails until the next innovation. So it's a process of wave. Let's describe more in detail the innovation. What is an innovation? Schumpeter gives some example. Railroad construction in the early stage, electrical power production before the First World War, steam and steel, the motor car afford spectacular examples. He adds down to such things as making a success of a particular kind of sausage, of toothbrush. According to him, there are 5 cases of innovation. First one, a new product. Regional press in France was almost inexistent before World War II. People get used to read newspaper during the war, even though the newspaper were censored. There was a reaction after the war against the domination of Paris in the 50s. It was a kind of localism. Then the regional press was booming, and West France became the bestseller in the 90s with 900,000 sold copies. Another example, Sunday edition became a new quality of product with growing urbanization and a new middle-class way of life. People had more time to read. New beats were added, mostly feature and long-form stories. Another category of innovation, new market. Free dailies, such as Metro, aim at commuters in the subway, reach a new audience in the 2000s, mainly young digital natives. Or the suburban newspaper in the United States, focusing on sometimes hyper-local news. A new method of production. The way of consuming news changed over the decades. Radio, TV set, and digital multimedia format starting in the mid-90s. Now, a new source of raw materials. Rags were used to produce newsprint till the Industrial Revolution, then wood pulp was the raw material. A new organization. In the early 20th century, the news industry became more business-oriented with the growing role of advertising as a stream of revenue. So there was a change in the organization. On top was the publisher. He was hired for his managerial skills, then 5 specialist units with a manager, each one. Newsroom and his editor-in-chief, production, printing machine, distribution and creation, sales, advertising and communication, and then accounting. The digital newsroom is divided in 3 units, shaped along the deadline from the event. Up to 1 hour, it's a breaking news unit. Then 1 4-hour checking and adding the source, more details. After 4 hours, analysis and anticipation, presentation of an oncoming event. Now, what are sustaining and disruptive innovation? It's a phrase coined by Christensen and discussed. To be brief, sustaining innovation make the company better, while disruptive innovation make the conduct of the failure of the company. Schumpeter asks a question: is development continuous from circular flow? And he says no. They are cycles, waves. And Schumpeter wrote a book on the business cycle, using the theories of Kondratiev, describing a long wave, 50 years, Jugla, describing cycle for 5 to 10 years, and then Kitchen, cycle of 3 years. According to many authors, the current Kondratiev cycle, starting in mid-90s, is caused by innovation in information technology. So let's say that the theory of cycles is not proven so far. Obsolescence of entrepreneurship. One part of the Schumpeterian theory is broadly predictive. In capitalism, socialism, and democracy, it raises a question: can capitalism survive? And it answers a straight no. Decomposition begins with the role of an entrepreneur, the vanishing of an investment opportunity due to declining rate of increase in total population, and no opening of new lands is the reason for what he called the inevitable obsolescence after a step of bureaucratization of the function. Schumpeter developed a theory of the decline of capitalism as the ultimate step of an evolutionary process. First, the obsolescence and disappearance of entrepreneurs, followed by the emergence of socialism. Most of the theory of Schumpeter were discussed and sometimes criticized. So, conclusion. Is it a creative description reached? It's probably, the answer is probably yes, for the advertising. Programming advertising is mastered by platform and legacy organization and independent websites have to find a new sustainable business model. But legacy organizations are fighting back, and they try to innovate, and so the outcome is not clear so far.